everyone, it's Friday afternoon and this is Mom Talks. We are talking about all things autumn or fall, whatever you wish. The leaves are changing colors outside. It is so pretty outside right now. And we are less than a week from Halloween, and so today we're going to be talking all about Halloween. I have Darcy Klein with me here with our psychology department here at St. Louis Children's Hospital. First, let's talk a little bit about what you do here.
Sure. So I'm the psychology fellow here at Children's. I also work at our outpatient clinic out in our specialty clinic off 64 in Mason. Here at the hospital, we primarily see inpatients and outpatients for psychological services and assessment. And then at our specialty clinic, it's primarily outpatient services as well.
Very good. So we're talking to psychology today because we're talking about Halloween, and it's all spooky, it's all fun and games. The point is to get scared until it's not fun anymore. And for a kiddo, sometimes getting scared, it's hard to draw that line between, okay, now I'm having fun and now I'm really upset about something. Whether that's from seeing a movie or going out to a haunted house or a haunted activity or, even trick-or-treating, So we were talking before we got started, and we were talking about like things that scared us and when we were kids on Halloween. Full disclosure, truth telling here, Hocus Pocus, that movie.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Nightmares. So what about you?
When I was younger, and I still have very vivid memories about this movie, I think it was a Goosebumps movie. It was about the boogeyman or monsters under the bed, and I had nightmares for weeks after watching that movie. And then I just kind of grew out of it, I think.
But it's funny how you remember those things.
Yeah.
So that's what we're here. That's what we're here for today. We're going to be talking about being scared, how you can prevent your kid from being scared, and how you can comfort them if they are scared. Okay, so for starters, let's talk about fear. What's going on up here in our brains when someone, or especially a little kiddo, gets scared?
Yeah. So our brains are naturally hardwired to be scared. Back when we were cave people, cavemen, cavewomen, fear is what kept us alive.
Yeah.
So, you're running from animals, from things that could hurt you, and our brain created this fight or flight response. And so the idea is when you're approached with something that's scary, you either fight back or you run, you flee. And there's various parts of the brain that are involved in this. So just a few main parts. The amygdala, it's a part in the center of the brain. It takes into consideration the emotional charge of what we see, what we hear, what we feel. The hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex, those are going to be in charge of looking at the context of a situation. So for example, if you're camping and a bear comes on the campsite, you're going to be startled. That's going to be scary. But if you go to the zoo with your family and you see a bear in an exhibit, you're likely not going to have much of a fear response at all because you're safe. In our body, that fight or flight response reacts differently. So our pupils get big, our heart beats faster, our breathing increases, so that we have the ability to either fight or run. Those physical responses are also the same as some more positive emotional experiences, so things like excitement. So it makes sense why some people find it fun to be scared.
Okay.
The people who want to go to haunted houses, the people who want to watch movies that are scary. But for kids, that process is just a little bit different. So it's harder for them to tell what's make-believe, what's a kid in a mask versus a real zombie coming down the street at me. And then that's where we get into a gray area of, is this fun scared, or is this genuinely I'm scared because I'm unsafe? And that's really hard for kids to navigate.
So we're talking about common fears before, and we were talking about what is a child largely afraid of: getting hurt, being lost, being away from people they love. So let's talk about a few common fears from Halloween related things.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a two-part answer. We've got the classic scariness of Halloween, things like bats and ghouls and goblins and monsters and ghosts and vampires and things like that.
Because they look scary.
Right. They look scary. We're taught to be scared of them, usually from a playful perspective, but sometimes it can cross that line in a kid's mind. And then things that kids get scared of around Halloween that we don't intend to be scary, so, or that we don't intend to expose them to. So things like commercials for movies. There's a lot of Halloween movies come out in the fall, a lot of scary movies. Things like billboards. Back when the last It movie came out, there was a billboard on my way to work that had his face on it, and I was like,
"No, thank you."
Focus on driving.
Don't look at it.
But I thought to myself, what if a 5-year-old saw that billboard?
Yeah.
Like, that is not a friendly billboard. And I think within a week it was taken down.
Makes sense.
So I think someone probably said something about that. But even just hearing friends talk about scary movies, scary stories that they've heard at school, we're not trying to expose our child to that, but they intermittently can get exposed to that. So, you know, there's the classic stuff, and then there's the stuff that just happens.
I know, and so often there's things that, you know, are meant to be playful and meant to be childlike things that kind of get warped and twisted into something creepy and scary, like clowns. Like, I mean, how many adults have trouble with clowns these days?
And usually that stems from childhood.
There it goes.
Yeah.
So let's nip it in the bud. So you were talked a little bit about some of the fight or flight like responses, but you know, as a parent, if I'm watching my child and they're watching this movie and I'm kind of just keeping an eye on them, what may be some signs that, hey, they're getting scared. This is too much. Let's go do something else.
So I think there's in the moment signs, and then I think there's long-term signs to look for. So in the moment, children's responses, fear responses, are very similar to adults. Look for facial expressions of fear, kind of closed off body language, huddling almost. If they want to hide behind you or close their eyes, there's something they don't want to be exposed to. Shivering, those are all just common body language signs. If a child says they're scared, they're giving you a direct indicator, I'm scared.
That's always helpful.
Yes, it's nice when they have that awareness to verbalize. But then long-term things that we want to keep an eye on are things like sleep. Are they having a hard time going to sleep, staying asleep? Are they having nightmares? Are they wanting to come crawl in your bed every night? Things like that. Avoidance is a huge piece of fear. So if you know, your child went to Bobby's house last weekend and saw a scary movie and now they don't want to go back to Bobby's house anymore, that is a sign that, you know, that fear is sticking around.
Or like if, you know, you always go to the pumpkin patch every year and then they watched a creepy movie and now pumpkin patches.
Yeah, no more pumpkins. No more pumpkins.
They're at least made maybe till next year.
Yeah.
So what can I do if my child comes to me and they say I'm scared or they're exhibiting some of those signs, they're visibly upset? What can I do to kind of help them see the clear line between, okay, there are real things and then there's make-believe things?
Yes, that's a great question. So I think there are some really important things that parents can do. The first thing is instilling confidence in that child and modeling that confidence, that they can handle whatever it is that they're afraid of. So an example I like to use is monsters under the bed or monsters in the closet. We get a lot of kids who come in who are afraid of that, and initially, it seems like a good idea to reassure them that there's nothing under there. So it can become a nighttime ritual. Well, let's check under the bed.
Okay, not there.
We're looking under the bed, nothing there, you're safe. Or I saw the other day this new thing, monster spray.
Oh, yeah.
So, and
squirt, squirt, squirt.
Yeah, and it's gone. And you're safe. But I think the problem with those approaches is that we are reinforcing to our kids that there is something to be afraid of, and that's why we're checking. That's why we're spraying. That's why we're looking under the bed. We want to instill confidence in them from day one that this is not real. We don't have to be scared of this. So, you know, validating their fear. I know you're really scared right now. You think there's a monster under the bed. But I am confident. I know that there is nothing under there that can hurt you. There's no such thing as monsters. And I know you can handle this. You're going to be able to sleep through the night and you're going to be fine. And just instilling that confidence and modeling that for a kiddo. Another strategy, a lot of kids will internalize fear. So kind of keep it to themselves, not really express it in any way. And we want them to externalize that, to get that fear out. So some ways to do that is to talk about it, to write about it, or to even draw a picture of what they're afraid of.
What you're afraid of. Wow.
And especially for kids at their developmental level, it can be really effective to help them change their image of what they're afraid of. So for example, if you've got a kiddo around Halloween who's afraid of werewolves, having them describe the werewolf, draw the werewolf, and then have them change that image to be funny, ridiculous, just out of this world, silly. So put a tutu on the werewolf with a bow and have him holding a bunch of balloons and eating an ice cream cone. It's a lot harder to be afraid of that werewolf than the werewolf that they're probably imagining.
Because when you start seeing those kinds of images, those are funny.
Yeah,
so,
and we want to give kids back that power.
It looks like we have a question.
So one of our viewers said that they call Halloween dress-up day, and that takes away some of the scariness for their child.
That's a good idea.
That is a good idea.
I know some schools even have policies where they say, you're not allowed to wear scary costumes. So the school I went to had that.
Me too.
They said that you can't wear scary things. We have fun things and silly things, but we don't do scary.
Yeah,
So.
we had that same rule. No masks, no weapons, nothing scary.
It's a good idea. What else do we have? We have another question.
So another one of our viewers wants to know, what if their children are scared of the Halloween decorations in the classroom?
Oh, so, you can control what's in your home, but you can't really control if there's decorations or anything like that elsewhere. So, yeah, what would you say?
So I would say one approach would be, one, you want to let the teacher know that the teacher can provide comfort. But one of the things that we try not to do with fear or anxiety is avoid it. Mm-hmm. So usually kids can only sustain fear for so long. And if there is something genuinely scary in the classroom, that probably just needs to be removed in general for all of the children.
Yeah, if one child is scared, maybe some others are too.
Yeah. But I think helping them first orient to the classroom, I don't think it's necessary for that child not to go to school. I think that's just going to reinforce that fear.
Right.
But to just introduce them to it, show them that it's not real, it's not going to hurt them, and then over time throughout the day, just doing check-ins with them of how they're feeling.
Sure, that makes sense. So, would you recommend keeping kids away from scary movies, haunted houses, things like that until they reach a certain age?
So I think we have to kind of look at that from like a parent perspective, but also from a society perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, we go to movies and they have parameters on who can see what movies.
Sure.
PG-13, rated R, and movies and restrictions like that. And those age ranges are there for a reason. People have deemed certain movies based on pieces of it or variables of the movie. A 13-year-old should be able to handle this. A 9-year-old should not be able to handle this. So taking those parameters into consideration. But then also, parents know their children better than anyone.
Sure.
So if you know your kid is kind of skittish, shy, doesn't really like being scared, maybe keeping those movies off the table for a few years would be a good idea. But if you've got a kid who loves being scared, likes playing pranks, likes being silly, they may be a little bit more open to just introducing some more base level scary movies.
And I think it's kind of about advocating for your kids. Like, if you know they're going to a sleepover on Halloween and you ask their parent, are they going to be watching a scary movie? I don't think my child's going to appreciate that. They might get scared. I think that's important too.
Yeah, I agree.
So, what are some things, the big activity on Halloween is always trick-or-treating, which is traditionally at night. There's usually lots of Halloween decorations and stuff like that, which for the most part are fun, but, sometimes can be scary. Are there any things that you would recommend doing, like, while you're out trick-or-treating or while you're outside during Halloween to maybe kind of keep reinforcing, yes, that may look scary, but it's not real, things like that.
So I think just checking in with the child periodically throughout the night, what you're doing, if you're noticing some of those behavioral cues that they're scared, just reinforcing for them that they're safe and that you're not going to leave them and that you're with them. Also, I remember when I was a kid, my mom every year would buy these like light necklaces.
Yeah.
And she would always tell me like, this will help you see, you'll be safe with this, things like that. So even providing them with a comfort item, if you've got a much younger kid who has a stuffed animal or a blanket that they find comfort with, there's nothing wrong in having them take that with them trick-or-treating.
Yeah, and I remember my mom if we saw a house that just was really tripped out with very kind of creepier decorations, she'd just say, skip it.
Yeah,
move
absolutely.
on. Not well lit, just move on, keep going. Looks like we have another question.
So if your children are really scared of trick-or-treating, what are some good alternatives to do that night or even maybe leading up to it other than actually going out and trick-or-treating?
Yeah, it's a good question.
That's a great question. So a lot of community organizations, businesses, hospitals, clinics, they will do trunk or treats in their parking lot where people come with their cars and give out candy and the kids go from car to car. Those are usually a little bit more family friendly because they're run by businesses or hospitals. And there's usually much fewer scary costumes at those.
It's more about having fun. It's things like that. Actually, our Specialty Care Center is going to be hosting a trick-or-treat. That's going to be Tuesday, October 29th, 6 to 8 p.m. And it's going to be set up like a trunk-or-treat, and kids can go about and trick or treat on the different cars, and there's going to be other activities. It'll be really fun. So if you are looking for something to do with your family, like I said, the Specialty Care Center, Tuesday, October 29, 6 to 8. So if you're looking for something fun to do, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. So say Halloween is over, and I start noticing my child acting out. They're having nightmares, they're crying, they might run to my room, they want to sleep with me, things like that. How do we move past that?
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend giving them just a little bit of an adjustment period after they've had something scary, whether it's a movie or Halloween they're reacting to. If you've got maybe a 2-week period where this is not stopping or it's getting worse, I would reach out to either your pediatrician or your local counseling center and just kind of ask questions. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. This is what I'm seeing. These are the behaviors. This is kind of what's changed in my child. Is this something that we need to address? And so those professionals will be able to give you a better idea if it's moving into anxiety land or if it's crossing that line and we need treatment.
That's kind of what was going to lead into my next question is how do you kind of verify that this is a temporary, like scared, this was based on a situation versus, I think my child might have some anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think taking a preventative approach is a great idea. So if you're starting to notice those signs where the symptoms or the behaviors are staying around longer, getting support sooner than later is going to benefit your kiddo just to get some coping skills, to get some ways to manage that potential anxiety, and to make sure it's not getting worse.
Darcy, thank you. Yeah. That's going to wrap us up here at Mom Talks today. Thanks for joining us. Next week, we're going to be talking about fall allergies. We're going to be with Dr. Catherine Rivera, and she's going to be talking a little bit about what makes allergies so yucky around this time of year, what your child might be allergic to, and what you can do to help them stop snuffling so much. Hope you'll join us. That's next Friday at 11. Have a great day.